Startuprad.io, your podcast and YouTube blog covering the German startup scene with news, interviews, and live events.
Here we go. We got a recording. Awesome. Hello and welcome everybody. This is Joe from Startuprad.io once again with our Chris from New York here. Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm very good. Let's get things started because it's going to be 110 degrees, so 42 Celsius, and I'm already starting to melt here.
Oh, there's the same over here in Frankfurt. We have an amazing Saturday. By the way, this recording was done on the 30th of June, 2018. This will be the last startup recording for the summer, and you'll hear from us towards end of September, where we do one news wrap up, because Chris and I are very much deserving of a break, and we'll use this time to publish all the stuff that we have still on the shelf, because there's a lot coming up. I was just looking at my schedule, planning all the stuff for the second half of the year, and I can tell you guys it's already pretty full. Sponsoring message. Once again, this is the June News 2018, and you're listening to Startuprad.io. The sponsoring message. Startups.observer supports this program. Startups.observer is like online dating for startups and investors. It is by far the easiest and most efficient way to research potential investment candidates or look for potential investors. Learn more at startups.observer. Housekeeping. Many more interviews on YouTube. On our YouTube page, youtube.com/startupradio, you can find more interviews from the Merck Accelerator as well as from our New York trip. There's enough material for at least the summer, and there'll be interviews upcoming, like with a startup from Africa, and there'll be another big data startup that actually helps you forecast the properties of molecule. Since the last news recording, we have published just yesterday the upcoming the world premiere of the Coin Analyst ICO. They want to be the Bloomberg of cryptocurrency space and just started their ICO. The social media channels are vibrating with content. We have more than 80 retweets and likes just for the initial tweet. And within 24 hours, we had more than 11,000 views. It's just amazing. We talked to Munditech, who helps hospitals to fight dangerous bacteria. We talked to the winners of the Golden Garage, Germany's Investor Side FinTech Award, awarded here in Frankfurt. And we'll publish more interviews from our New York trip. This time we had Guidewine, which is like Match.com to find a financial advisor. And we even did a live stream from the demo day of Accelerator Frankfurt. The audio wasn't perfect there, but we'll be working on getting better next time. We have audio content. We had two very, very cool interviews with Vishal Ray, the Indian-born entrepreneur who is co-founder of Frankfurt-based AI startup Accelerate, which offers a tool called Gamma. And Gamma is like the autocorrect for coding. In part one of the interviews, we talk a little bit more about corporates and startups, and his journey from being a corporate employee, traveling the world, to settling down in Frankfurt and starting his startup, and the digital state of the digital entrepreneurship here in Germany. And in the second part, we talk, of course, about coding and Gamma. The ecosystem.
Yeah, starting with the ecosystem. Clark.de, it's a local startup champion and insurtech heavyweight, talked to capital market newspaper Börsenzeitung, so stock market newspaper here, translated literally, and told them they had to see more than 200 investors to close their most recent investment round, but now no German investor is on board there. Is the copycat mentality, which made so many startups big in Germany, finally coming to an end. Insurance startup Lemonade sues the European counterpart for copyright infringement. And we also have the document in our show notes. And then there's The Economist writing an in-depth article about a new breed of German startups taking off. And it's also related to our favorite topic. Rocket Internet style e-commerce ventures are out, this article says. Science and manufacturing led firms are in. So that's quite a development there. And then, we can really say that people are really falling out of love with Bitcoin a bit. Bitcoin has taken more heat since last news, and the price was artificially inflated last year. Researchers say, the New York Times had a piece on that, saying a concentrated campaign of price manipulation may have accounted for at least half of the increase in the price of Bitcoin and other big cryptocurrencies last year. And Bloomberg has an article about the current developments of Bitcoin, saying Bitcoin's collapse accelerates, falls to lowest since February. The digitally token has declined more than $1,000 in 2 days. Trading venues coming under increased scrutiny worldwide. And in just an overall, it's just a very volatile business. And right now it's going down.
We will see where this leads. As I always say, ICOs are fancy, they're interesting, but you should not put all your money in it, just a little bit of money, which you can afford to lose. Right now, it's looking for me a little bit more like the late 1990s, early 2000s, when we had the dot-com boom here. Talking about hubs and Frankfurt, completely unrelated to dot-com and boom and stuff. Frankfurt, Silicon Valley Bank opened its branch in Germany, of course, in Frankfurt, and they hired a Deutsche Bank alumna for it. The 10 hottest fintechs in Germany. To the list made it Frankfurt-based Insurtech Clark, we talked about before, and microsavings app SafeDeutsch, which recently completed its ICO. Horizon.net wrote this. Then there are 10 fitness startups to keep an eye on in the years to come, writes eustartups.com. This includes Antelope Suit from Frankfurt, where we had the world premiere as an audio podcast back in 2016, and we did an update just recently. Then there's the Home24 IPO. Why is it here? Just because they're listed in Frankfurt Stock Exchange. Home24 CEO Mark Appelhoff is happy with the IPO at Frankfurt Stock Exchange. He talks to Gründerszene about it and the highs and lows of Berlin-based Rocket Internet Home24 until the listing in Frankfurt. You can have a look and just click on it and scroll through. And Pro7 Sat.1 Media, we talk about it a lot because it's one of the heavyweights of private televisions here in Germany. They received 7-digit amount from the Home24 IPO. Then there is Karlsruhe. You most likely never heard about it, but Karlsruhe is very important. We'll get to that in just 1 second. First, Momentum Ventures. Students at KIT Karlsruhe set up a VC fund for tech startups, right, Gründerszene. And why is this so important? I'm just quoting here Wikipedia. As of 2018, 6 Nobel laureates are affiliated with KIT. The Karlsruhe Institute of Technology is well known for many inventors and entrepreneurs who studied and taught there, including Heinrich Hertz, who proved the existence of electromagnetic waves, paving the way for radios and ultimately cell phones and Wi-Fi. Carl Friedrich Benz, who invented cars, and of course the founders of SAP. So keep an eye on them. We will do for you as well. Cologne-based startup Silexica accelerates complex calculations for autonomous driving. Now they raised 18 million euros venture capital to further develop their solution. Lead investor is EQT Ventures from Stockholm, Sweden. Then there's Dortmund, the Dortmund-based startup Fleetbird. It is the core of the sharing economy in Germany, which is software as a service sharing platform. It enables 15,000 rides a day in 25 cities around the globe. And finally, Munich-based startup Celonis raised 50 million US dollar venture capital from investors like Accel and 83 North with a valuation of beyond 1 billion US dollars. So we have a unicorn there. Not bad for a startup which had to bootstrap for 5 years. You'll find the links, of course, here in our show notes. And then we are getting to the companies.
That was quite an interesting overview because it was so unusual, so many unusual cities. And it again really shows that in Germany there's not, obviously there's Berlin as like the central startup city right now, but that there are also little pockets here and there and everywhere. And so good for them. Companies.
We may add for Frankfurt, I completely forgot, that Startup Guide is going to make an issue for Frankfurt. So there will be a Startup Guide Frankfurt. The launch event just took place. And I am one of the advisors who is helping to finally form this book. Look forward to it, guys. It will be published towards the end of the year. Look for like end of November, middle of December.
Yeah. So companies, talking about one of the trends we see there being corporate investments in the German startup scene on the rise. So, for example, Porsche, the car manufacturer, invests in Croatia based super sports car producer Rimac, I don't know, Rimac, I don't know how you would pronounce it, RIMAC it is, and now owns 10% of the company. The tech of them should help to produce electronic sports cars. So electronic solutions in that unusual market there, or in that unusual segment. Then the used car marketplaces are booming in Germany. Now Allianz, the insurance company, invests 11.5 million euro venture capital in Munich-based Abracar. And we talked already about Auto One. So that's a competitor there. And there's already some movement in the market. And then the VC arm of the German rail operator Deutsche Bahn, called DB Digital Ventures, invests in 2 US startups, reports T3N, a German startup website. And those 2 US startups are GoKid and RideCell. And other investments include Clever Shuttle, What 3 Words, Telixo, and the Berlin-based innovation platform Beyond 1435.
I do believe there's one requirement to have a startup name. It has to be hard to pronounce and make it easy to stumble over.
Unfortunately, we've been past where we just drop a couple of vowels. So it's at least now words that make sense.
Finanz would be free, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, Twitter started like this as well. Twitter was also in the beginning Twitter without the E. Anyway, fun fact. Finanzszene sheds some lights on the Lendico ING transaction where the bank bought the fintech. According to Finanzszene, to FZ calculations, Rocket Internet burned almost 27 million euros with the startup. ING may have made a bargain in a transaction, they conclude. ING Ventures invests in Berlin-based fintech FinCompare as part of a Series A financing round. And the HR Group, that owns more than around 30 hotels around Berlin, invests in the food delivery service Cookimi. The reasoning is simple, since HR Group also owns shares in the drink delivery service Trinkkiste. And yeah, this sounds like some possible bundling and using of synergies there. And to wrap that up, that part of the podcast, Deutsche Startups.de compiled a pretty good list of venture capital investments from Picos Capital. Picos is backed in part by the youngest of the Zamva brothers of Rocket Internet fame. Talking about deals.
Venture capital raised. Blinkist raised $18.8 million for its condensed reading platform for nonfiction books. Investors in this Series C investment include Insight Partners, eVentures, and IBB, which is a government-backed investment bank Berlin. Investors like Vala Ventures, Peter Thiel eVentures, and La Familia, as well as business angels, invest in insurtech Koya, Coya. I think you can also pronounce it Koya. $29.6 million venture capital. Interesting fact, Koya has not started yet. And Berlin-based Karubi secures $20 million to fuel its international expansion, writes tech.eu. 2016 numbers. There is a legal obligation in Germany to publish numbers for companies. Many large but unlisted startups have to publish their P&L, balance sheet, and some additional papers, even if they are not listed, but those numbers have time, and now they are popping up in the public place where you publish everything called Bundesanzeiger. Many of the news outlets keep track of those numbers, and we have found some for you. Lesara, the number seller, the revenue raised from 17.7 million euros to 24.7 million euros, which is a whopping 250% growth. 80% of their revenues is still in fashion, textiles, and accessories. Germany makes up 44% of this revenue. Headcount went up from 104 to 169. Helpling, the Rocket Internet-based backed platform for services and cleaning, published its balance sheet for 2016. They are still making losses, 3.6 million in 2016, but this is better than 2015, where they had a loss of 10.4 million euros. They also axed almost 50% of their workforce during this time. Rocket Internet's Airbnb clone, Wimdu, generated 60 million losses since interception, but it's apparently getting better. 2016, they had a loss of 3 million. 2015, they had a loss of 11.2 million euros. And then there's ResearchGate. Investors include Bill Gates, Tenaya Capital, and Benchmark. Their loss in 2016 surged by 73.3% to 10.7 million euros, right? Deutsche Startup. The losses total more than 34 million since interception. And Munich-based Tado, a competitor of Google's Nest. Revenue came in lower with 2.7 million compared to 3.7 million the year before, and the losses increased, which was to be expected. They raised 20 million.
Which brings us to a overview or a topic from international size, and I think probably the most relevant or most talked about deal there was Microsoft paying a lot of money for GitHub. So there we have some more information about why that might have happened. And I mean, in general, Microsoft is an interesting story because when we look at the mid 90s or like early 2000s, how much Microsoft has been the butt of the joke. And in the end, it's now really a company that listens a lot to what the stakeholders want. And actually, it does feel like a much better company.
Yes, and actually proof that they really understand business is they're still standing, right?
Yeah,
many companies who have been around when Microsoft has been around, they are gone. Yeah, think for example, many older people will remember for Alta Vista.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the list is probably endless. And nevertheless, T3N, the German website, had a look at some of the GitHub data and saw from the GitLab that even on the day of the announcement of the deal, several thousand projects had been moved away from GitHub to GitLab. And so, so we will see how that goes.
Then I found something. Are you in need for some inspiration? Like here in Germany, we just got kicked out of the World Cup, but it's part of the entrepreneur's journey. It goes up, it goes down, and sometimes you just lose. We found Margarete Steif. She passed away almost 110 years ago, suffered from polio, and was a woman at the time entrepreneurship was just for men. But you totally know her invention because she's the lady who invented the teddy bear and built a company that still exists today. If you have like a Steif teddy bear there, they always have some type of clip in the ear with the name of the company and, of course, her family name Steif in it. You know one, right?
I mean, I know them, but obviously, since I come from a working class background, we don't have. I never had a Steif teddy bear, unfortunately. But I think, I mean, it's in general, it's one of those things that you actually pass on over generations, and it still is this awesome thing.
And actually, before that, it was just called the bear, and just Teddy Roosevelt got so famous, they decided to rename it Teddy Bear. So it's once again an American-German production. Haha.
There you go. Yeah, very good. Yeah, I also find a little analysis, or it's not actually a little because it's a very long article, but Inc.com took a closer look at HelloFresh. And actually, it is quite juicy, the revelations they have, or they are pretty determined in their verdict about HelloFresh, which you can already tell by the headline. The headline says, "The world's most ruthless food startup, the inside story of how HelloFresh clawed its way to the top." And then one paragraph, especially, it's like a little summary, shows where the article goes. And this paragraph reads, "In reality, HelloFresh's history is far more complicated than his just add data and stir formula. It involves hundreds of millions of venture capital dollars, aggressive marketing tactics, health department complaints, threats of violence, hard drugs, dump money, and at its center, founders who have been so relentlessly focused on growth, they've barely stopped to consider what happens when they actually win." So it was a real interesting article, I think. And yeah, you can find the link to that in the show notes. It's on inc.com.
Great. Only thing to say now is that we are gone till September. We'll keep working on some interesting stuff. We'll also have for you in the first week of October some interviews, but this time Chris did interview me. I interviewed him. We'll have this in video format, and we are working very hard on coming back to bring you the next startup news as a video. And at one point towards the end of this year, we want to even do it as a live stream. We really, really hope to have you all on board here. And thanks very much. Startuprad.io has grown so far in this year by almost a third, and I hope to achieve at least 50% more subscribers in our audio podcast, and we keep working with our YouTube channel. Especially, we want to have a lot of blogs and people who share this stuff, who include us. That's actually where the many views are coming from, because we don't have so many subscribers, but we actually have a lot of blogs including our stuff. Actually, most of them include us, and I don't even know who they are or what they do. They just do it, and I don't mind.
No,
they apparently like good content. So, Chris, enjoy your summer.
Yes.
Be safe.
Same to you. Thanks. I'll now go outside and start the melting. And yeah.
Oh yeah, enjoy that. I actually will get out with my wife and enjoy some homemade unsweetened iced tea. That will be a good day.
To each his
Thanks,
own.
guys. Remember, sharing is caring, and hear you again in September, or may even see you.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
we will do that. Bye-bye.
That's all, folks. Find more news, streams, events, and interviews at www.startuprad.io. Remember, sharing is caring.